day of school as a student of first grade in Kumarins. I could barely spot a face or two which was familiar from my nursery classes. It was no less of a big day for my parents too, as they had already taken a half day leave from their office just to make sure that I would be okay in my first day of school till 2:20 in the noon, and asked me how my first day of school was. Seated in one of those middle rows, I was not sure whether to behave shy in the beginning or open up and be a carefree person that I am in front of those new faces. During the first few hours of the class, teachers came and introduced the subjects they were taking. It began with EVS, followed by number work and English. I was still in a dilemma whether to jump out of my comfort zone and talk to that girl who sat in the first bench corner and tell her, "Hey, I have the same pencil box as you do." But something changed post lunch break. There entered a woman wearing a sari and having a pile of books in her hand. She sat on the chair and she addressed the class by narrating a story of Tom having purchased a pair of pants for his birthday, and those pants were apparently of a size bigger than his actual one. He went to each and every family member of his in order to alter an inch, but every member of his family refused to do so at that moment as they were busy. But at the end of the day, Tom's pants were then reduced to a pair of shorts, as every member of the family felt guilty of not having spared time for that poor child. This story mesmerized this story captured the attention of every child in the class, and those new faces, which were apprehensive in talking to each other, were giggling like small babies when tickled. And this was the story told by my Kannada teacher, Shailaja ma'am. And she used to spend every 10 minutes, she used to spare every 10 minutes of her class narrating these stories to us, and which we used to look forward to. And these new faces became very much familiar as we started discussing about the stories which we loved, narrated by Shailaja ma'am. And let me tell you, that day, I went back home excited and told my parents about the most fun class I had on my first day of school, and that was Kannada. At the end of the term, all my classmates scored relatively well in Kannada when compared to other subjects. Do you know the secret of that? Well, Shailaja ma'am associated every lesson, every concept with a story which we never forgot, and story which we never will. This is the power of storytelling. Without any further ado, let me introduce you to our dear president, who is a passionate photographer and wants to become a wildlife photographer, who is pursuing computer science in City Engineering College, who never says no to food and taking trips. A triple crown award winner, the former secretary, VPPR, VPM, VPE, the area director, and also my dear mentor, Udanka. Over to you, Toastmaster Udanka.
Thank you for that lovely introduction, Toastmaster Sanjana. I request our Secretary, Toastmaster Sashikant, to read out our previous meetings, minutes of the meeting.
Good evening, Toastmasters and guests. Minutes of meeting number 1093, held on 18 January 2021. The session started at 6:19 p.m. and was chaired by President Toastmaster Udanka and introduced the guest. Sergeant at Toastmaster Ujjwal started the meeting with an introduction about the theme and giving out the ground rules and later handing over the charge to the President Toastmaster Udanka. Udanka opened the meeting, spoke on the theme. The executive committee members shared their learning from the Toastmaster Leadership Institute training. Toastmaster Udanka introduced the Master of Ceremony for the day, that is Toastmaster Prakash. Master of Ceremony spoke on the theme and introduced the following role takers. Timer Toastmaster Shashikant, Accounter Toastmaster Karthik, Grammarian Toastmaster Sandeep, PP Evaluator Toastmaster Sai Nehal. The prepared speech session has the speeches Toastmaster Balaji and Toastmaster Sridevi. The table topic session was conducted by Toastmaster Gaurav. The table topic speaker was Toastmaster Sanjana, Toastmaster Nakul, Toastmaster Ravi Kumar, Toastmaster Lalana, DTM AK Prabhakara, Toastmaster Sandeep, Toastmaster Sai Nehal, Toastmaster Karthik, Toastmaster Shashikant, and DTM Subramanian. The general evaluation session was conducted by Toastmaster Krishnamurthy. The winners of the week for the prepared speech was Toastmaster Sridevi. The best evaluator was DTM MU Bhatt. Best table topic speaker was DTM AK Prabhakara. The president closed the meeting at 8:34 p.m.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shashikant. Is there any changes needed for the minutes of meeting? If not, we take it as considered. I open meeting number 1093. I see a lot of guests today in our meeting, so I would request all the non-members, non-Toastmasters to introduce themselves, and all the Toastmasters who have come from the different club to let us know from which club you are from. So starting off with Rashmi.
Good evening, everyone. Myself, Rashmi. Still, I need to take the membership in Mekon Communication Club. This is my third meeting, and I'm enjoy these meetings very well. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Hope to see you as a member from next week.
Yeah, sure.
Divya Rajnikant.
Hi, everybody. Olivia here. So I am from Emphasis Speech Crafters Club, ex-Emecon Club member. And for various reasons, I could not continue to be a Meconian. But yeah, I really, really miss a lot of people from the Mecon Club. And I'm here to enjoy and learn from this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. DTM Mini Mohan.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mini Mohan, as you can see by the tagline. And I'm from the Kualon's Toastmasters, and I'm with Arjun in the PQD extended team as the training coordinator for Kerala. I'm here to support him and be part of your meeting.
Welcome, ma'am.
Looking forward to it.
Veera.
Hi, everyone. I'm Veera. I'm a dual member from Winners Club and Town Advanced Toastmasters Club, both from Mangalore. And Arjun has called me today. So I'm here with you. Very happy to be with you all.
Thank you, ma'am. I see Yashashwini.
Yeah, hello everyone. I think I am not a guest anymore. I am attending often. Yeah, I am here to learn and refine my skills. Looking forward for the session.
Welcome, ma'am. I see many members who have turned their videos off. Could you turn your videos on and introduce yourself? Jivita Raju.
Hi, hello everybody. I'm Jivita. I was a part of Mekon Toastmasters, and I'm here to be a part of this meeting. I'm very, very excited to be a part of this meeting after a really, really long time. Sorry, I'm traveling. That's why I've turned off my video.
Welcome, Jivita. So I see many others. I request everyone to turn on your video and introduce yourself. Yes.
Hello all, this is Shreyas. This is my first presence at this meeting. So I know Toastmasters from a long time. A lot of my friends and my cousins are actually in this club. So because of this lockdown, I work as a design engineer basically, and because of this lockdown, everything is turning virtual these days. And I have found out that I'm very conscious when the camera is on. So one of the main reasons I'm joining, or I plan on joining Toastmasters, is to first get rid of this camera shyness, and the second thing is to concise what I want to say, because it turns out that I start boring people with the amount of material that I speak on. So that is the reason why I'm here. Thank you.
Definitely, shares. You can improve here. Welcome. And I see Ashrit Shroff.
Good evening, everyone. I can't switch on my camera because there is no electricity now. And this is my first meet in Toastmasters. Like, I heard so many good things about Toastmasters, and I'm excited to learn from you. And I want to develop my skills. Thank you.
Sure, Ashrat. You'll have a nice platform here. Welcome to our meetings. So let's quickly start our meeting. Let me narrate to you guys a small story. I must be sure that you all will be familiar with this story. There was an old lady with having their three children. She was in her deathbed and she called her all three children. She gave a stick to all three of her and asked them to break. They easily broke it. The next day, she called all the three of us back and gave two sticks to each of them and asked her to break. Again, with a little difficulty, she broke it. Third day, she called again and gave three sticks. With some more difficulties, they could break. And this went on till around 10 to 12 days. Later, when the sticks were piling up as days start counted, they were not able to break all the sticks at a time. Then she thought, unless you guys break it, you cannot succeed in life. So these kids were wondering what should we do. Then the next day, they came out with a new solution. All three of them came together to break one pile of stick at a time, and they broke it. Again, they went to the second pile, broke it. Third pile, and they broke it. So that's when their mother said, "Yes, that's what I wanted to. Uh, you guys need to have a team work so that you break that stick." So now coming back to this, now I request all the members to at least a few members to unmute yourself and tell me what is the learning you have learned from this a short story which I narrated. Anyone can unmute themselves and say.
United we stand, divided we fall.
Yes, teamwork, united we stall. All that's what I wanted to convey. So if I told you guys need to do in teamwork, that's when you break it. Will would have those children learned it at a time? Or you if you I think even you guys could have not caught me exactly on a point what I wanted to convey, right? So that's the power of storytelling. So whatever we try to convey to people, how important it is, if we tell it via story, it will be more easier for us to grasp it, even understand what exactly the speaker is trying to convey. That's the power of story. That's how we people convey. If you guys have noticed, many of our parents have narrated many stories when we are a child, when we were at our youngsters, right? That's because, and if you guys have observed, those stories had a moral lesson for us. I just wanted to give one example of my life. My grandfather narrated me so many stories, and at the end of that story, a moral lesson was there. That was to be a good being human. If you had not told it via story, I'm not pretty sure if I would have understood that much better the way he wanted to convey. So that's how the power of story is. To tell us more about this, how effective the story is, we have a person with us. She is currently pursuing her chartered accountancy. She has been interning with Ernest and Young's. Aside from commerce, she has a various interest. She loves playing guitar. She loves going on truck, speaking to new people, and learning new languages. She is also an avid book reader. She aspires to travel in new places, and her ultimate goal is to run out of pages in passport. So please put your hands in welcoming Toastmaster Ankita, the master of ceremony. Over to you, Toastmaster Ankita.
Thank you, Toastmaster Udang, for that beautiful introduction. I'm flattered, the least to say. So let me start off. Ever since we were children, we listened to stories. These usually were filled with fantasy and dragons and fairies, and we still believed all of it. And as we grew up, we realized that our lives itself are stories that we look back at someday and remember specific characters and chapters of this story that impacted us. Well, here we are about to unfold one of the most impactful chapters of our lives with a character like no other. A very good evening to all the Toastmasters present here and all the dear guests. I am Ankita, your host for today, and would like to welcome you all to our special education session. Don't we all have tales to share? Stories that we've personally been a part of and will remember forever? I'm sure you all have. So I'd like a few of you to unmute yourself and share with me an impactful story from your life. It could be anything, a book, a person, or an incident that deeply moved you. Anybody would like to just unmute and tell me? Come on, just a story, a book, maybe a short story that inspired you, anything.
Okay, Ankita, I would like to take this opportunity. I think I've mentioned this story once before in Toastmasters. There's one story that really has left an impact on me, and that is the story of a starfish. So it's a very short story. Let me quickly tell you. So there was a beach, and a young boy had visited a beach, and he sees an old man picking starfishes that were washed up on the shore, and he finds it really funny, and he goes to the man and says, there are millions of starfishes that have been washed up on this shore. Do you think you're really making a difference? You will not be able to put all of them back. So why are you doing this futile effort? And then the man looks at him and says nothing. Okay, he goes, picks up another starfish and puts it back in the ocean and says, made a difference to that one. And I think that story has really left an impact on me. And even in Toastmasters, isn't that what it is? Like, if you give a speech and if you're able to reach out to even one person sitting in the audience, I think you've really arrived and you've really made a difference. So making a difference, even if you're able to make a difference to one person, it matters. So yeah, that's the story, Ankita.
That was beautiful, Sridevi. Thanks for sharing. Anybody else would like to unmute and share anything that's personally touched you? Anyone? Nobody?
It is just an anecdote from the book Becoming by Michelle Obama. She says that women empowerment should never be a dinner table conversation, but a boardroom conversation. That has really impacted me in several other ways.
Thank you, Sanjana. Thank you. That was a very, very beautiful share. So moving on, why do you guys think that these stories have made such an impact on you that you remember the quotes, the characters from these books, and they remain in your heart forever? Well, it is because of the way in which these stories have been crafted. Every word, every phase beautifully woven to create a beautiful and impactful piece of work. One such brilliant story was started by Ralph C. Smedley in the year 1924 in YMCA Santa Ana, California. What started as a single club with just a few members has grown into a huge Toastmasters movement today with about 358,000 members in 143 countries throughout its 16,800 clubs. For the benefit of the guests present in today's meeting, a typical Toastmasters meeting consists of 3 sessions. The first session is the prepared speech session, which, as the name suggests, basically means that a speaker comes prepared with a topic of their choice and speaks about for 5 to 7 minutes. Please note, since today is an education session, we will not be having the prepared speech session. The next session is a table topic session, wherein the table topic master will choose people from the meeting at random and assign them a topic on which you will have to speak impromptu. And the last session is the evaluation session, where we look back at the meeting and find out what went well and what we can improve. Now, I would like to call upon the supporting roles of this chapter, ones who will enrich the meeting and help in keeping the story together. I would now request the role takers to unmute themselves as I call them out, explain your role in brief, and then you can give the charge back to me. First, let's have the PP Evaluator Toastmaster Ujjwal.
A very happy evening to all the fellow Toastmasters and my dear guests. As the PP Evaluator, I'll be evaluating the following points. Please refrain talking about sex, religious, and politics. Avoid exiting the meeting when the speaker is delivering his speech. If it is really important, then please exit during the transformation from one speaker to another. Please mute yourself when you are not speaking. And if your bandwidth is low, kindly turn off your video, and against your name, put it as available through audio. I'll be giving my evaluation at the general evaluation session. Thank you, and back to you, MC.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ujjwal. Now we will have the timer for today, Toastmaster Sai Snehal.
Good evening, everyone. The one who learns to manage time can manage everything. As the timer for today, I'll be making note of the time taken by each speaker, table topic speaker, and the general evaluation. So as for the timer cards, the background will start with this. As in when the time required to be shown, I'll be changing the background according to the thing. So yellow at the time when the speaker requests, and so on and so forth it goes on. I'll be giving my report during the general evaluation. Thank you, and back to the Master of Ceremonies.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sai Snehal. Can we next have the R counter for the day, Toastmaster Shashikant?
Very good evening to all. I will be the R counter for today. The purpose of the R counter is to note down the words and the sounds that are used as a crutch or a pause filler by anyone who speaks. During the meeting, I will listen for overused words including and, well, but, so, and you know. I will also listen for a filler words including and are. I will also note when the speaker repeats a word or phrase such as I, or this means. I will be giving the report at the end of the meeting at the general evaluation session. Back to Toastmaster Ankita.
Thank you, Shashikant. Thank you so much. Can we now have the last role, the Grammarian's role by Toastmaster Balaji?
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmaster, and guests, as Grammarian, it is my responsibility to pay close attention to all speakers, listening carefully to their language usage. I'll take note of any improper language as well as any outstanding words, quotes, sayings, or thoughts. As Grammarian, it is also my duty to introduce the word of the day. For today's meeting, the word is effusive, which means showing or expressing gratitude, pleasure, or approval in an unrestrained and heartfelt manner. So you could use it in multiple ways. Just an example. Today's MC and her start was effusive. Today's MC's welcome was effusive. And each speaker is encouraged to use the word of the day. I will give the Grammarian's report when called upon during the meeting and also report on the usage of the word of the day. Also request to all the members, whenever you see a speaker use the word of the day, you could maybe give them a digital thumbs up or a digital clap. And that will be great. For example, effusive. And that's when I see all the claps and thumbs up. Back to the Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Balaji, for the effusive introduction to your role. Thank you. Storytelling Vision Director and also been the Public Relations Manager for District 92. He's a distinguished Toastmaster who's won the Triple Crown Award 5 times and also trained many people and clubs, over 1,000 plus members in total. He has also supported various clubs in their leadership and communication journey by taking up the club mentor and club coach role proactively several times. With a virtual round of applause, please help me welcome the protagonist of this magnificent story, distinguished Toastmaster Arjun Sundar Raj, who will now enlighten us with the art of telling stories and tall tales.
All right, thank you so much, Ankita. That was like amazing, amazing, I must say. I mean, the kind of energy I saw there, I wish my parents were listening to it from there. I just wish I had put it on speaker, but I'm on headset. No worries there, any which way. So one thing which I want to ask over here, do you all love to unmute yourself and talk?
Yes.
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 Okay,
Yes.
fantastic. Fantastic. That's exactly what I want to do as well, because I want to make this session as interactive as possible, because I'm not going to conduct the session because you are going to conduct the session. In fact, the session is already over. Let me tell you how. The sergeant at arms, Sanjana, came in. She told the power of storytelling. The president, okay, Udanka came. He told the power of storytelling. Ankita, the MC, she told the power of storytelling as well. The session is already over, and I was sitting here wondering, what am I really going to do tonight? But the session is pretty much going to be what you make out of it. All right. So now tell me one thing with the raise of hands, or you can unmute and shout out as well. There's absolutely no problem. Whatever you're comfortable with. Who all love stories?
I do.
Of course.
Excellent.
All of us.
Excellent. All of us, exactly. Who really doesn't love stories? Come on. Like, we grew up listening to stories. We grew
Our
up listening to
parents.
those stories.
Our parents and our boss.
Exactly. A boss as well, is it? Okay, that's going to be interesting, I think. See, that's exactly what it is, right? We listen to stories. We went to sleep by listening to stories, what our parents or what our grandparents used to narrate to us. And at that point in time, I did not realize what stories can do to us. And it was only recently when I joined Toastmasters, I actually realized that. And through that journey, what I've had in Toastmasters over the last few years, I would say, I realized this is one art form that is less known to people as to what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, so on and so forth. More so, it's more like people are groomed into it, into storytelling. If you ask me, people need to be groomed into it. Sorry, Grammarian. So that's exactly what happens, right? So now that's exactly what we are over here to, uncover what really goes into a story. And for that, I would simply ask a few simple things, okay? Listen to what happens in the next few minutes and tell me what you understand from the speech that is going to come. All right. So I'm going to break this session into two parts because Sai requested me to cover both the aspects because it's something that we would need for the contest season this time as well. So I'm going to break this into two little parts. One is about the stories in general. The other is about tall tales in specific. All right. Tall tales, if you ask me, is a subset of storytelling. And not every aspect that goes into storytelling comes into tall tales as well, but a lot more things are there. But we will discover what it is. We will learn what it is slowly. Let's cover what exactly stories are all about. All right. To help us understand how stories are written and told, we have a wonderful, wonderful speaker with us. All right. Now, this person, I got to know her quite recently. And she came in when I saw her for the first time. I tell you, it was during one of our calls in the PQD office. And I was like, it was so bright. The screen was so bright. And even now, if you look at the entire screen on a gallery view, you can see one person who makes the screen so bright. And ladies and gentlemen, with a speech titled, well, do I really need to disclose the speech title? Do you want it?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
All right. All right. Okay, let me do that. Okay, with the speech title, The Haunting, please help me welcome distinguished Toastmaster Mini Mohan on stage. Mini, the stage is yours. Listen to it. We will discover what exactly happens. All right. Go on, Mini.
Thank you, Arjun. And I should say the lighting is because of the special lights I have around me for this particular speech. And that said, Macron Toastmasters, it's my pleasure to stand here before you. So without much ado, how many of y'all love paranormal activity? Paranormal activity is, I can see the Grammarian's hand going up, Vijay, Hand going up, a lot of hands going up. And for those who don't know about it, which I highly doubt, is actually paranormal activity is something out of the ordinary that according to folklore and normal culture, it cannot be explained. It is something beyond us, beyond the lines. So, how many of you believe in it is the question. Do I believe in it or not is also the question. Toastmasters and guests, I have a secret to share. A confession act, actually. I am a scaredy cat of the highest order. I just can't stand horror. Okay, it's not standing horror, it's running away from it. Do you guys know one friend who would love to hear the horror stories from top to bottom just to know the ending so that all's well? Come on, give me hands up. I can see Ankita. Yes, you all know friends. And do you know that same friend going to the fridge with all the lights on? It's like to and fro. There's lights on and lights off. And then the practically running into the bedroom and closing the door. All monsters stay out there. There, we got there. So that is me. You just name it. I'm scared of it. I cannot take paranormal activity. Maybe it's because I believe in it. And I believe in everything that is said. Maybe. Who knows? But it just keeps the fear going sky high. That fear that churns you, that makes you look around and makes your hands go clammy. It's not just getting on stage. It's all these stories. And that said, my friends always try to get me into the theater to watch a horror movie. Always. With friends like these, who needs enemies? I tell you. They're just like all the time plotting and trying to con me. So when Friday the 13th came around, I was ready for them. I'm not going anywhere with them today. And can you believe it? After dinner, relishing a chicken burger, they're making plans to go for the second show. And which movie? The Conjuring. The Conjuring. Who would really? And they are trying to entice me by saying, it's a full moon night, Minnie. Just come. Just enjoy the weather. I'm a nature freak. So I'm like, they're telling me, come, look at the moon, look at it. And I'm thinking, we'll start out on Friday 13th. I'm not coming anywhere. So that is it. And I was standing there firm on my feet. Are you a chicken? Said my bestie. Cluck, 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 cluck. Yep, I am a chicken. Go away. I don't mind being a chicken. So at the end of the day, they left me alone and they all went. The room to myself, I just loved it. Can you just imagine the flat to myself? Now what do? I think I watched some TV and I turned the TV on. Late night horror. Why, you ask? Friday the 13th. They are killing me on every channel. And I'm like shifting. And if you look at Sanjana, that is the way I sat. So I'm sitting there very bored, looking out, pressing my remote. And suddenly there's a Hindi film with Urmila. And I'm like, hey, Urmila Mandalatikar. I like her. Let's see. Oh, I missed the beginning of the movie. It's okay. Oh, she's sitting there just like me, holding the remote and watching TV. Interesting. And then the camera pans out, and there behind her is a stark black dressed female, totally white with ghastly eyes. I am afraid to move at this point. I'm frozen. Nobody there. Thank God. I'm telling you, that was such a relief. That was such a relief. Off with the TV. No more TV. Now, Friday the 13th, I'm reading a book. What was that? Did you hear that? Did you hear a small sound? That was from the kitchen. And where did I run off? To get my Devi's picture. Devi Ma, I don't have a cross at home. This will do. My hands are cold. I'm shivering. What the heck was that? I'm alone at home. And I'm going to the kitchen. Ankita, you're with me. Okay? And there's nothing moving around here. There's nothing. Suddenly I hear a muffled voice. What the heck was that? Is there a brown cover moving by itself? Oh my God! And it fell on the floor, and out came a dazed lizard, looking at me accusingly. What the heck? I'm not supposed to say the other word. Arjun has warned me. So I was so scared and terrified and fearful the whole time. Minutes passed in slow motion. My hands were clammy. You feel the fear. It's exactly this fear that I felt. Exactly this fear that I felt when I stepped onto the stage for the first time. Exactly the way I got frozen on stage, giving my icebreaker. How many of y'all in the crowd did not do that one thing because of fear of the unknown? It might not be the paranormal, but why? Why did you not take that one step? How many of y'all joined Toastmasters because of the fear of unknown? Like me, took that leap 4 years back and got frozen on stage. It's all right. It's all right to have your fears. It's all right to come onto stage and take it in your own pace. You are what you are because of the way you are. So that in the end of it, it is all right. So I'm happy here in Macron Toastmasters to give my story of how I conquered my fear of the stage. Not by getting rid of it, but by controlling it. Do I still watch horror movies? Nah, I'm a wise chicken. So that is not happening. Do you believe in boundaries and beyond and everything? Maybe, maybe not. That is your call. And as for me, I'm all over the place. Over to you, Arjun.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Minnie. Let's hear it for Minnie once again, please. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Now, tell me one thing. Did you love the story?
Yes.
Yeah? Fantastic. Why did you love the story?
I think the energy and props.
Fantastic. Energy and props. Lovely. Okay. What else?
It kept us
Expressions.
engaged all throughout.
Yes,
We were all
it kept
engaged.
us engaged. We were all
Right.
engaged. Fantastic. Could relate to it. Expression and energy.
Voice
Fantastic.
modulation.
Voice modulation. Excellent. Lovely. These are all various ways that makes the story, attractive. Why do I really say attractive? You are attracted to the listener because of certain characteristics, right? Now, what goes one step before that is the way it is written. It had a good plot, says Nitin. Wonderful. That's exactly what happens, right? Now, what are those little aspects to cover in the story is what we will look at. Now, at the end of these next few minutes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break the story down into simple pieces, and we will see what are those important aspects that are required for, coming up with a fantastic story. All right. The first aspect. Now, the characters. Who were the characters in this story?
It was DTM Mini and her fear.
Minnie and a fear. Wonderful. I like the way you said fear also is a character. Beautiful, Ankita. Sashi was saying something. Sashi, please go ahead.
Yeah, it was DTM Mini and her fear, and another thing is that film story. That is the one.
Yeah, there was one more character in that film as well. What was that?
The
Lizard is
lizard.
also a character. Wonderful. Wonderful. In the movie as well, there was one more character. What was that? There were two characters there. Who were those?
She was able to brought the Toastmaster Sanjana and Ankita also into the story.
She brought them in. Fantastic. That's right. Okay, that's the way the presence of mind has worked with Minnie, I would say. Excellent. Now, in this entire story, what are the basic characters in the story is what we need to define. And once we define those characters, it will be easy for us to build on that. There was one more aspect which I want to specifically touch upon as far as characters are concerned. While Minnie was narrating the story, she went and watched the movie. And in the movie, there were two characters. One was the person who was watching like her, and the person who came behind her. When the camera panned out, she saw another character, another lady, right? And can anyone recall and tell me how this lady was?
She was clad in black, and
Yes.
she had ghastly eyes.
Okay,
And looking
fantastic.
at her, Minnie was just stunned and couldn't move, like she was just awestruck.
Excellent. Now, Ankita, I'll come back to you for this. What makes you remember those points? I know you were a fantastic listener. Yes. In addition to that, what made you remember and repeat the same way as if Minnie mentioned?
The way she expressed that the character, that was made us to remember the character.
Okay, there
It was
is
very
one
vivid.
specific activity. Sorry, yes, Ankita, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry for interrupting. I was saying it was very vivid, and she had
Exactly. She had
The
very
descriptive words, the words that were used by Minnie to describe the character.
excellent, excellent, excellent. So now what exactly happens when you're introducing a character into a story? You need to describe them. Now, I'm going to take this one more step ahead. Did Minnie really describe every aspect about the characters in the story? Did she really describe her friends? Did she really describe Urmila? Or did she really describe that lizard as well? What did she really do? She gave us a hint with one specific character that actually connected with the message that she was talking about, the fear. Right? Now, that's exactly what you do in a story as well. When you are throwing your characters into the story, now you need to see as to whether we are able to give them life into this. I mean, bring life into that particular character. So always make those aspects about the character visual, because pretty simple. All right, 70% of this entire world are visual people. You tend to imagine things. When I narrate a story, it creates a picture in your head. And when Minnie narrated the story, it definitely created a picture in my head. And I'm pretty sure, I mean, most of you would agree with it, right? That's exactly what happens. You create a picture with the characters in the story. The second aspect which I want to touch upon is the conflict in the story. Now, what was the conflict in Minnie's story?
Can I?
Yes, please go
Yeah.
ahead.
She was not interested in going to the movie, but her friends were forcing her to come. That was the conflict.
Well, that was one of the parts, right? Someone said something. Ankita, yes, go ahead.
I think it was the fact that she wanted to conquer her fear, but wasn't ready to face it.
Excellent. Fear part of it, yes. Now, Yeah. Yes, Divya, go ahead.
I think it is the paranormal activity. I think the way she's been brought up and the way the world is trying to, I mean, there's a conflict over there, I think.
Okay, fantastic. Now the actual conflict in the story comes out as a message. Now, when was this particular conflict introduced? That is the fear part of it, right? She was trying to overcome the fear. Now, when was this particular conflict that she had introduced in the story? Right at the beginning of when she started off itself, she said, "This is what I was. I am a very scary cat." Right? That was the way she introduced that. That's exactly what she was trying to overcome. All right. Whenever you are mentioning or writing a story, as a matter of fact, what is important is the entire conflict needs to be brought out right at the beginning, because that always, as I would say, Craig Valentine, the 1999 world champion of public speaking, he always says that conflict is the hook in your story. All right. So introduce the conflict early and slowly go ahead. Another parallel that I would like to quote over here is simple. If Kattappa had not killed Bahubali, there is no Bahubali movie itself, right? That's exactly the conflict is all about. Now, the third aspect which I want to touch upon is the carry out message or the climax of the entire story. Now, when you talk about climax, you build the story into the climax. Always you start writing, you define your characters, you define your conflict, and you build the story towards the climax. And that's exactly happens when you go and touch that particular climax at the last point over there. Now, that is where you throw in your message. That is where you say that this is exactly what happened. And towards the end of the story, that's exactly what Minnie did as well, right? She gave us the story, she narrated the entire story, and then she went on to say that, yeah, fear is always in your head. And if you're able to overcome, great. All right, that's exactly the way she overcame her fear was what she narrated. Okay, so these are the three major aspects of storytelling in simple words. Number one, what's number one?
Characters.
Defining
Define the
Characters.
characters.
What is really important when you're defining characters?
Detailed, vivid.
Vivid, detailed, excellent. Do you give them all the information?
No.
A hint, exactly. So it creates a picture in the minds of the audience. What was the second aspect?
conflict.
Conflict.
The conflict, excellent. What do you mean by a conflict there?
That's the story's purpose, as in
Purpose,
why.
some challenge that you're
Yeah,
trying to
it's the
overcome.
hook of the story.
Yeah.
It's the hook of the story. Fantastic, excellent.
Context.
And lastly, what is the context? Yes, exactly. What is the last one?
Climax.
Climax.
The climax. What is the carry out message? What is that particular, the way you take that story into that particular peak and then deliver your message? So when you talk about story in general, this is exactly what it is all about. All right, remember the characters in a story, remember what the conflict is, and remember how you take your audience through the climax and then deliver the message. Last point which I want to cover is what happens after the climax. You never leave the audience right there. Always and always bring your audience back to the present, because the audience is traveling with you in that journey. They're reliving that entire experience along with you. Bring them back to the present and then leave them with that particular message. This is what storytelling is in brief is all about. All right, I'm going to hold you, I'm going to pause over here and then move on to the tails part of it. All right, what does it mean? What does it mean by a tall tale? Why is tall tale really important? Now we're going to do a similar exercise, and for that I have someone who I really enjoy listening to. Really enjoy listening to. I'm saying I love her, and she loves someone else. I'll tell you why. All right, ladies and gentlemen, when you listen to her, you will know what kind of a person she is. She is someone who has that huge aura around her, that positive aura. Ladies and gentlemen, with the speech titled I Love Donald Trump, please welcome distinguished Toastmaster Veera Katpiti on stage. Veera, all yours.
I love Donald Trump. I don't know why these people call him orange head and carrot top. I love him. And so when I got a chance to be his personal secretary, I immediately jumped at it and off I went to the White House. Only after going there, I realized that he's a huge fan of our Prime Minister Narendra Modi and follows him on all social medias, Twitter, watches him on TV, listens to him on the radio. One day, Donald Trump told me, Veera, go and get me 2 monkeys. Monkeys as in apes? Yes, he said. So off I went and got 2 monkeys from the local zoo. Next, what do I see? There is Mr. Trump with a huge hose in his hand and he's pouring water on those monkeys. Sir, what are you doing? What, Veera? Just what your Prime Minister does. My Prime Minister, what does he do? Monkey bath. Monkey bath. Yeah, he's always talking about monkey bath. Before I could tell him that it is not monkey bath, but monkey bath, the monkeys became very violent and pounced upon Mr. Trump and tore him apart. Emergency. Immediately I called the doctors and we shifted him to the hospital. He was bleeding all over. I said, call a neurosurgeon, call a neurosurgeon. No neurosurgeon prepared to treat Mr. Trump. Then I got an idea. Who is the best neurosurgeon in the whole wide world? It is our dear Dr. C.K. Ballal. You must all remember him. He was the chief judge at the district level some years back. Dr. Ballal, when I called him, was in a meeting, Toastmasters meeting. He never misses a meeting, you see. But he's also a very dedicated doctor. So as soon as I called him, immediately he flew to the White House. He cut open his skull. What does he see? There was no brain in the skull. Now, what to do? He said, Veera, go and get at least a small bit of a brain from somewhere. I went asking all the people around, sir, can somebody give a small bit of brain? It is for the president. Nobody agreed. Then I said, what to do? I immediately went to the monkeys. I said, see, you are responsible for what has happened to Donald Trump. Please give a bit of your brain. The monkey just laughed me off. They said, just because he is always up to monkey business, we should give our brains or what? Go away. Now, what to do? I immediately went to a wise owl. I said, Mr. Owl, will you please give me a bit of your brain? The owl hooted me away. Said, just because people call him an ulu patta, we should give our brain. No, go. Woo. Then I saw a small little bird sitting on top of the tree. And I asked that bird, can I have a bit of your brain? What? For Mr. Trump? As it is, we are already being maligned by saying he's bird-brained. And now I have to share that brain with him? I went back to Dr. Ballal. I said, nobody is prepared to give their brain. Then suddenly, Dr. Ballal saw an orange. He immediately peeled it and he said, oh, this orange looks just like the brain. So he immediately took that orange, put it in the skull of Mr. Trump and stitched it up. Now, ladies and gentlemen, tell me, if you plant an orange, what color hair will come out? And then simply everybody blames him and calls him orange top and carrot top and all that. You can impeach him if you want. You can hang him if you want. But please don't call him orange top. I love Donald Trump. Over to you.
Excellent, Veera. Excellent. Thank you so very much. All right. Now tell me, what was the number one thing that stood out in the story?
He exaggerated the facts.
Humor.
Exaggeration.
Fantasizing a lot.
There was some pun in the story here.
Fantasizing a lot.
Some pun in the story. Yeah, excellent. Excellent. The topic itself, Balaji says, I think Balaji, that's a beautiful way to put that across as well. Now, there are various aspects that come in a tall tale. All right, we will touch upon these. I will probably divide this into 3-4 major points. All right. Now, okay, number one, there is always a main character. Who was the main character in the story? In the tall tale, I would say.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Yeah, fair enough. There was some problem that the main character was trying to solve. What was that problem all about?
Man ki baat.
All right. So there is very specific. See, when you look at a tale, there is a main character and there is a problem that the main character is trying to solve. Now, the way the problem is solved is what makes the story a tale. Now, that is exactly the differentiation factor. If you look at, if you look at, just rewind for a bit and then talk about three main aspects about stories that I covered. All right, there is a conflict again. All right, over here there is a conflict as well. How that particular conflict is solved is what makes the difference between a story and a tale. Now, in this tale, the entire approach is different. It goes in a funny way. It exaggerates every single aspect. All right. So the funny character, the way the problem is solved becomes the second point, and then comes the exaggeration point. Now, who will really agree, or who would even think that an orange really looks like a brain? Tell me honestly. Right? That's the exaggeration, or how an orange kept inside as a brain led to the orange colored hair in an individual. Right? That's a completely different point, and no one would even think that it is possible. And that's exactly what brings life into a tale. Making something seemingly impossible as a possibility and creating a picture around it is what makes a story a tale. And that is the third point which I'm talking about, the exaggeration, the entire concept of making that story into a tale by introducing what really is not possible as something that is possible. Another example that I can think of about exaggeration is you talk about an individual probably in the size of a giant and looking at all the humans like in a very small tiny creatures. All right, now a completely different perspective, a parallel there would be someone who's traveling from the plane, looks at people on the earth as like small little tiny creatures. All right, that's possible. But at the same point in time, when you bring that perspective into a life of a human being and then talk about that as if the person is seeing from that high above place, that becomes an exaggeration. And the last but not the least, the most important aspect about a tale is the language that is used. Now, how was really Veera's language in the entire story?
Casual.
Simple, easy to understand.
Casual, easy to understand. What else?
Childlike.
Childlike. Excellent. Who told that? I kind of missed that. Yes,
Yashaswini.
Yashaswini. Yes, Yashaswini. Childlike. Excellent. What does it? What does make a? I mean, how do you make a language childlike then?
For me, it's just what you talk from your heart. You don't think exactly what needs to be told.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I would say that's a fantastic point that you mentioned. Isn't it what we do on a daily basis? Isn't it how we talk on a daily basis with our friends, with our colleagues, with our parents, family?
It was more like a conversation.
Conversation, exactly. So you need to go out there and have a conversation with the audience in an exaggerated way. That brings the life into a tale. So if you look at the four major aspects when you look at a tall tale or a tale to be specific, number one, there is always a main character in the story. Number two, there is a conflict that the main character is trying to solve. And the way the conflict is resolved or the way the conflict is solved could be in a funny way as well. And the third aspect is the entire story, the entire approach to solve that particular conflict or the problem is told in an exaggerated way. Talk about what is not real as a real thing. create that particular picture in the minds of the audience. And last but not the least is the simplicity in the language that is used, in the way the entire content is prepared. Clear? So these are the four major aspects that I wanted to touch upon when it comes to tall tale. All right. Now I'm going to pause this entire session and open up for questions. I'm free to take any kind of question, any number of questions as the time permits. We still have a bit more time as per the timer's card. So you can unmute yourself or put the question in the chat box as well, whichever you're comfortable with.
How, like, may I?
Yeah, please, please.
Okay. How we will get to know that what our audience wants to listen?
Sorry, Ashlit, could you repeat it? How you will get to know?
Okay. How will get to know that how our audience, like, what genre our audience wants to listen?
Excellent. Now, the genre of any story, as a matter of fact, depends on the audience mainly. All right. So, what I would recommend is when you are going and sharing a story or giving a speech, as a matter of fact, do some research as to what that particular audience really looks like. What do they want to know about, or what do they enjoy listening to? And more importantly, what do they not enjoy listening to? Because it is absolutely okay if you don't give them what they enjoy listening to, but you should never give them what they don't enjoy listening to. All right. So this is exactly one thing which I would say: do the research, and only then you would understand what is that particular genre. In this kind of a setting, what I would say is the membership of this club is from a varied set of audience. And over here, people come from different backgrounds, and when you look at that kind of a setup, you could possibly go with something generic. All right, that's exactly what it is all about. Like, talk about anything that is close to your heart, absolutely fine, but it's always audience specific, because always and always you would want to give them what they want to hear. So do the research and then go with it. All right, I saw Shashi's hand. Shashi, go ahead, please unmute and ask a question.
How the any of the speech can be converted to story?
Okay, Sashi, I'm going to, what do you call, I would say I'm going to take the reverse approach whenever I'm writing a speech. What I always do is I think about story that I want to share with my audience, and I convert that into a speech. So always and always fit the story in the form of a speech and not the other way around. All right. Now, I'm not trying to negate what you mentioned, because this is the speaking platform. And that's exactly why we are all here for. So to share experience in the form of a story. All right. So now the when you look at a speech, what really happens? There is a story, and there is an opening, and there is a conclusion, and there is probably something, some kind of a lesson that you learned, some kind of a message that you want to share with the audience. Right. That's how the reverse approach makes a significant difference when I am thinking about speaking. I don't think about what do I really speak about. Okay, I'm going to talk about making people realize the importance of holding on to, never giving up. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to think of a story, what I want to share. And if that message comes across as a never give up, then that is the message that I would deliver to the speech. I mean, through the speech. All right. So that is the approach that I would recommend you take all the time when you are sharing, writing a story, I mean, writing a speech as such. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Balaji, please go ahead.
Hi. Firstly, amazing speech. I thoroughly enjoyed the speech, and I love Donald Trump too. And this speech definitely got the giggles out. One very technical question. I always have a little problem understanding the thin line of difference between talking about a politician and politics, which is not allowed in Toastmasters. While talking about Donald Trump, there's nothing political in the speech, but there have been times where this is called political. I mean, it's a part of the world political scenario. Is this really allowed? If politics is allowed, to what extent?
Okay, fantastic. Now, one thing which I will tell you, Balaji, Nowhere in Toastmasters it is written that you cannot talk about sex, religion, and politics. All right. Why do we really do that? These are topics wherein we have different opinions. And when I'm presenting my opinion, it could hurt someone else. And that's exactly what I should not be doing, because I respect. One of the core values of TI is respect. I need to respect the other person's value. I need to respect the other person's perspective. I need to respect the other person's background and belief system. All right. That is the reason why we say it is recommended not to talk about it. However, you can very well go and talk about it if you are in a way to handle or present your views in a place, in a way that doesn't hurt the other person's feelings. That's the only point which I have to tell you. Now, if you want to talk about it, go ahead and then talk. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. Over here, she shared something really personal. That doesn't hurt Donald Trump. That doesn't hurt anyone else as such. It exaggerates things. All right. That's exactly what happened with this specific speech. Okay. No one will stop you from sharing your political views and things like that. So please go ahead and share it as well. There is absolutely nothing to worry if you have the basic respect in mind for others. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Balaji. Nakul, please go ahead.
Again, a technical question, little related to what Toastmaster Balaji said. So how do we modulate the level of exaggeration that the audience doesn't consider it stupid and you lose the focus or the grip of the audience?
Okay. So what I will tell you for this, Nakul, is the fact that you define that. Okay. Now, if I, so whenever I'm writing a speech, what I do, whatever I do, whether it is a tale or whether it is a story in general, or a purely technical speech, as a matter of fact, what I always do is I dumb it down to the lowest level possible. If I'm able to make a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old understand about things, then it's absolutely okay for me. All right, that's how I want to convey the message, because I never use flamboyant language in my speech. Never. All right, I use repetitive what do you call vocabulary, because I want to keep it simple with my content. Okay, so when you are writing a speech, what I would say is there is absolutely nothing wrong, because tall tales, the beauty of tall tale is that there is absolutely nothing that you feel you should be stupid about, because you're making my mind as a listener go wild. I am trying to picturize the entire speech right in front of me. And the better you do it for me, the better I would love you the more I would love you as a speaker. It's absolutely nothing wrong. And you can exaggerate things however you would want to. That's what I would want to share. Prakash, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, Arjun. The thing is, of course, the naming convention of that tale is tall tale. Okay. But if you see the speech, it is only for 3 to 5 minutes. See, what I'm saying is, if it is for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I can agree. It is a tall tale. Okay. The speech is only for 3 to 5 minutes. It should be a short tale, not tall tale.
Well, I would say long tail over there and short tail over there. Now, the tall tail it's the definition. That's the language that is called as. That's why it is called as a tall tail. Something that is not real, something that is imaginary, something that can be brought in front of you as if it's real. That is the reason why it is called as a tall tale, I would say, Prakash. All right. Now, there was one question which I wanted to address over here, which Nitin asked. Nitin, you can go ahead and then ask the question out aloud.
Yeah, my question was, should you be the protagonist of all tall tales to relate more to the audience?
You see, I would love to listen to stories about you. Okay, I can read about Donald Trump. I can read about Mahatma Gandhi. This question or this kind of a question applies to stories in general, not necessarily tall tales itself. All right, like I said, tall tales is a subset of stories. Now, the way you define your character, the protagonist in your story, is completely up to you. There's absolutely nothing wrong in sharing someone else's story, but I can very well share a story about Gandhiji or about Donald Trump or anyone else, but very rarely do people know about my story or what my experience has been. And one more reason is that will always help me connect with the audience as someone who is similar to them. Already, if I talk about Gandhiji, everybody knows him. Everybody, probably looks up to him, consider him as idol and things like that. But he's special. He's someone special. All right. But what makes me listen to someone, say for example, you're giving a speech, and what you the challenges that you overcome as an individual, the way you connect with your people, the way you change your life, the way you change your perspectives, that is what makes a difference to me. And you, in my eyes, my friend, become an inspiration then. And that is why a personal story always has a greater impact than a story that is already there. All right. Last question, Ankita, go ahead.
This might be a little technical and repetitive, but I just want to ask, in my opinion, I believe there's a very thin line of difference between what's political and what's not. Because the fact that I'm meeting you through an online platform, that itself is political. So when I'm giving a speech, how do I really, make that distinction between what's political and what's not, what's allowed and what's not? How firmly can I assert my opinion? Where do I supposed to stop and draw the line? I mean, I don't understand that part of it. So
Lovely.
please.
All right. Uh, when you are conversing with someone who you do not know, you would have certain barriers, I would say, the caution about what you're talking about. Would they be really comfortable with the vocabulary that I'm using? Would they really like what I'm talking about? Are they really comfortable? All right, that's one part which you need to look at. The other aspect is about a story, about a speech, whatever it is. All right, if you are comfortable sharing that particular story with a friend over a cup of coffee, there's nothing wrong in having that story. And what you write into that story, all right, there's a difference. Okay, the experience, if you're sharing something with a friend, that is something that you can share as a story. Now how you write a story, how you put your words into that particular speech or a story, that is determined how as to how your listeners would be comfortable. Like I said, it's always about the audience and not what you want to say. It's what they want to hear. All right, so that is one part. So look at it from the other person's perspective. What I would do, what I usually do is I disconnect from the speech completely. All right, I keep my emotions aside, I keep everything aside, and then I will read the story out in my mind, or maybe even aloud. That will help me understand things better. And this is a skill that I learned over the years, as to disconnect from my own story and then read it from a third person's perspective. That's it. And another other thing that you would want to do there is give it to a mentor. Give it to two different mentors, three different people as well. Absolutely fine. That is where you understand multiple perspectives. And now, when people from three different backgrounds are sharing their opinions and viewpoints about that particular experience or a story that you want to deliver as a speech, then I pretty much feel that you would have got different perspectives. All right. Excellent, excellent. So with that, I'll be available throughout the meeting and after the meeting as well. So you can take the questions right after the meeting, and please put it on chat, share it on the private message as well. I will make sure that I respond to the questions over there. But before I leave, I just want to talk about one simple aspect. I want to take you back to 2013 when I went to the US. For a leadership convention, and I was one of the for a social innovation convention, I would say. After the convention, I spent some time there and went to the Atlantic City, and I wanted to gamble. And this is the only point that I wanted to do. I wanted to play poker at that point in time, because the only time I had played poker was on Facebook. That's called as Texas Hold'em Poker, and I had no idea how to play poker. So I went there out to the table and was sitting there and standing there and seeing what exactly the game is all about. Stood there for a few games. There was an old man sitting next to me. He said, "Young man, why don't you sit down there? It's something that you can definitely, learn. You will enjoy the game." I said, "I don't know how to play the game. Please go ahead. It's absolutely fine. Like, it doesn't really matter. Sit down and you will learn the game." I did sit down, and I did learn the game. There was something that I lost as well, but that doesn't matter. But only after I started to play, I learned how the game is really played. So storytelling and narrating and writing and tall tales, all of these things is also like this particular game. Go ahead and play this particular game and slowly you will get better at it. With that, back to the MC.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Arjun Sundaraj. That was definitely a wonderful session. What I particularly loved about your session was the fact that you actually got two speakers to come deliver a speech, and we learned out of that. So it was like a show and tell, I think, which was more effective and we sort of remain in our minds forever. Instead of you coming and just, lecturing us on how to really make an effective speech, you showed it to us. You showed us how we can do it. So that's something which was really impactful and effectively done. And I'm sure all the members and guests present here today will take back lessons from you and will definitely implement them in the upcoming speeches and the contest sessions. So thank you so much. A heartfelt thanks to you and a big round of applause to you once again. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Akita. Thanks to Mini and thanks to Veera as well. They took time out and they came over here. I love you guys. Thank you so much.
Yes. And not to mention the speeches were brilliant. The Toastmaster Veera's speech was so funny. I think I was trying to not laugh too much. And DTM Mini, I completely relate to that speech because even I'm very afraid of watching horror movies. I cannot watch horror movies, no. I remember I woke up at 3 a.m. for almost 2 weeks after watching Conjuring. So exactly at that time. And I would freak out that why is it happening to me exactly at 3 a.m. So yeah, I can't watch horror movies. So yes, now we will move on to the next segment, which is going to be the table topic session, the fun-filled and the butterflies in the stomach session. When I asked the table topic master for today how her story in Toastmasters began, she said she joined Mekon when she stumbled upon an article in the newspaper about Toastmasters. And her first encounter was incidentally with DTM Nagaraj Rao, who I think is very much present in today's meeting. She's a science graduate and is actively working with Inner Wheel, which is an organization for empowering women across the world. She's been associated with them for over 14 years now. She's also passionate about Toastmasters and loves to travel and practice yoga. With a huge round of applause, let's welcome Toastmaster Lalana Murthy onto the virtual dais. Over to you, Lalana.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ankita, for that lovely introduction. Good evening, Toastmasters, and welcome guests. As the MC said earlier, the table topic session helps us to develop our impromptu speaking skills. It also helps us to hone our listening, thinking, and organizing abilities before we speak on any topic. Through this session, we also aim to give an opportunity for members other than the speakers to speak. The time limit is 2 minutes, and the timer cards will be displayed appropriately as already mentioned by the timer. I'll be calling out names randomly. So let's get on with the session now. Please give me a moment. Do you think suburban trains are the solution to tackle Bangalore traffic? DTM Amitabha.
Do you think suburban trains are solution to tackle Bangalore traffic? Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. I think Bangalore's traffic is a tale of legends. I think anybody across the world, not just Bangalore, people know how notorious Bangalore traffic is, and so it certainly begs for a solution. Perhaps we saw a glimpse of that solution at the peak of COVID lockdown, where you could zip from the north to the south of Bangalore in half an hour flat. Well, but I think times are getting normal, so we need a better solution than a COVID lockdown for Bangalore's traffic. And I think the suburban trains solution that you mentioned certainly is one of the feasible solutions, or a metro, if you can call it so. But given the complexity, Bangalore became Bangalore by accident. Bangalore was not designed to be a big city that it has turned out to be. So this one-size-fits-all solution is perhaps not going to work out, because if your city was designed for being big, I think you can scale it up more easily. But given that Bangalore grew by accident, so you need multiple solutions to solve this problem. This is a wicked problem, I would say. There is a certain type of problem that they call wicked problems. It's extremely difficult to find solutions to such problems. And I can assure all of us that Bangalore's traffic problem is one such wicked problem. So metro is certainly one good solution, but I think a more holistic approach would be a better solution to the whole problem. For example, improving public transport, initiating things within broadening the roads. A lot of roads get encroached by so many other things, so broadening the roads, encouraging people to, let's say, cycle down to various places and having cyclists. So I am not an expert on traffic management, but I think a more optimal and a more holistic solution rather than just a silver bullet solution is going to solve the problems of Bangalore's traffic much better. As everything as in life has nothing as a silver bullet as a solution. There's no silver bullet to any problem that you can think of. So you have to take the problem and tackle the problem in multiple ways, and a holistic solution, I think, is the best way to approach this wicked problem called Bangalore traffic. Over to you, Lalna.
Thank you, DTM Amitabha, for that very nice response. I was thinking about the train that has been started to reach the airport recently.
Oh,
So,
some
people were really thinking it's made a lot of difference in the travel time, and they've been reaching airport.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, thank you for that response.
Thank you.
Do you think your vote in an election will make a difference? DTM MU Butt.
Madam Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. This is a question which is being asked at every election. You know, one thing we observe normally is the voting pattern across the country. For example, let's take Indian experiment, as because India is supposed to be the biggest democracy in the world, and we have elections which are conducted fairly and very nice manner. So, but one thing everybody complains is, you know, the participation of the people is very less. You know, if you go to particularly applicable to the urban population, where the voter turnout is not more than 45-50% even in big cities, wherever it is that doesn't exceed, whereas rural people appear to be more inclined towards participative democracy by voting percentage going up to 70-75% or even 80%. Now, what could be the reason? You know, the first thing is what I find is as a person, you know, the urban people, they get closeted in their own scheme of things, their own private lives, and they think that what difference my vote will make it. But at the same time, in a typical intellectual arrogance, they tell that just what, you know, this we want a government like this, we want like this, and what this government is doing. We criticize hell and, you know, heaven. But what really happens is they themselves do not participate. So virtually it's like politics is not a spectator sport that we watch from outside, but it is a participative thing, participative democracy. What matters is your individual participation. If everybody thinks that what difference my vote will make, then we will get the kind of government which we always been having for so many years now. So my suggestion to all the persons, all the learned persons, everybody, particularly the educated class, that please participate in voting, because your vote does count. Madam Topic Master.
Thank you, DTM MU Pat. I agree with you. I think this is one right and duty we certainly have to exercise. And like they say, Yatha Raja Tata Praja, it is up to us to vote for the right person. Thank you for your response. Your dream travel destination. Toastmaster Shashikant.
Good evening, Table Topic Master Good evening, Table Topic Master, and all the Toastmaster and guests. Your dream travel destination. Actually, coming to my dream travel destination, all the destinations are dream for me. Whenever I search any destination place, so it will be like it will be my dream. So I should really so enjoy that. Recently today, while searching in an internet, so I came to an decision that this Saturday, I should go for a Someshwara Falls, which is located. So as I love trekking, so it is located in near Agumbe Ghat or something. So I didn't fetch all the details, but when I see the YouTube videos and all the sharing, so it was amazing place. So I have like next I have planned to go for beach trek, that is Kumta to Gokarna. So that is also one of dream. As of now, I have two dreams to travel, but all the destinations are dream to me. Back to you, table topic master.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shashikant. I hope you get to do your trek and enjoy it as well. Can you talk about a funny cooking incident in your kitchen? Toastmaster Sandeep. Sandeep, are you there?
Yes, I am there, madam. 1 minute, just yes. Speaking. Good evening, Toastmaster and dear members and honorable guests. Speaking about this funny incident, I remember uh, this. I wanted to make one tomato soup once. So tomato was I think less than 10 rupees per kg. So I took the opportunity to use the tomato and making tomato soup. I watched a couple of videos in the YouTube and tried to do that. I think there is Mr. Sanjeev, who is, I think, the top cook of India, perhaps. So he made one simple recipe to make that tomato soup. So I just tried to duplicate that. In one of that, he told, when you are boiling the tomato, don't grind it when just out of the, just right after the boiling, you don't grind it. What I thought, oh, he is a cook, I am an engineer, so there is nothing impossible kind of thing. So I just boiled all the tomatoes, and just after boiling it, I took it to the grinding machine. So once I started that, so it came out like, and it was all over the place and on my face also. So it was terrible experiment, would say, gone wrong. So that day I understood that there is some value to the experience. You don't go by your judgment or your opinion. So when someone is giving some advice and he is really expert in that field, you should take it. You don't go by your what assumptions or presumptions what you have. So that is one, I would say, not so funny, but it was very hot experiment when it came out from that mixie. So that's all, madam.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sandeep, for that very nice response. I hope you will learn to make the soup properly one day and surprise your wife in the near future. Would you encourage your children to join the army? DTM AK Prabhakara.
Madam, topic master, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. I would rather encourage. The first start was I myself was a part of the college NCC many years, and I encouraged my children. But the point is that I was born at a time when China had attacked India, and college NCC was compulsory. And to this day, I really recollect those days of learning, the discipline associated with the camps and the works like that. But today, they are offered various kinds of opportunities in sports, not NCC alone. So that is one element where they don't see the army part, the tough side of it, that they can grow, and the discipline that comes with it. They don't see. But I don't mind offering it, and I did offer my children the option of it. But it didn't work that way because it requires a different level of body strength, capability, selection processes. But I have seen my own relatives encouraging and joining also. In my home, quite a few previous generation people were there who are major, brigadier, and one of the important person who inspired in those days was elder brother of cricketer A.S. Prasanna. A.S. Prasanna's elder brother was a brigadier in Indian Army, and we children, whenever he used to come with full dress, we used to just hang around in awestruck way, the way he used to have his medals around and go off. And he was the only one who had a scooter in our street in 1960, that Lambretta scooter, which others helped him move. And I was one kid who was trying to push and really awestruck that great man. And I always admired army and associated technology associated with the army and the equipment that you would be dealing. And today it's mind-boggling. Situations are available, but I always did something to the Air Force, Army, Mechan provided that opportunity to be one such contributor in Agni missile and the Project Seabird and the works like that. And I'm very proud of that association. And anytime to answer your question, about defense forces are the best place to work, one of the best places to work. Over to table topic masters.
Thank you, sir, for that very interesting response and also sharing that anecdote with us. And I think we are done with the table topics because of paucity of time. I hope you enjoyed listening to all our table topic speakers. I would like to hand over the charge back to MC Ankita.
Thank you, Toastmaster Alana. I must say you had a diverse and very interesting plethora of topics. I really wanted to jump up and speak on one of them, but I think next time maybe. And I can already see that a lot of our Toastmasters here are already implementing the learnings from Arjun's session, and they're actually, vividly describing stuff to grab attention and to leave a mark on everyone. So that just shows what an effective education session we've had. I would now like to have a 10-minute break. And during this time, the meeting room will be open for any networking. So feel free to talk to others. And please do come back within 10 minutes. Thank you. It's right now 7:52. We'll meet back at 8:02.
Can we keep the break 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool if it works for everyone. So we meet then in that case at 7:57.
Yes, perfect.
I took those 5 minutes, that's why. During this session.
Sorry, you got any contest chair?
No, not yet.
In that case, I suggest you to start looking out for the role takers also for the contest.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Sai, in this term, you people are keeping Toastmaster of the Month, right? It's there, right?
Yes, Sri.
Sridevi, that was a very good story, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's one of my favorite stories.
Very good story. And in such a short time also. It's a nice action-packed one. So the club, how many members does it have? Generally, like all in, it's a community club?
Yes, it's a community club. And I think, Udang, could you be able to answer how many people are there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right now we are at 48 with the membership. On an average, we will have around 20 to 25 members in a regular meet.
Okay. Because I think it's my first time here, so I was just looking out. Very receptive audience and very nice.
You should attend one more session with prepared speeches in our club.
I know. I'm sure the quality will be very good. And I was just thinking, everybody had, like sometimes nobody turns on the video. So that is always something that you face when you're going. I went to a college and everybody was behind names, Then there has to be something to be said at every point for them to on the camera. Otherwise, you feel a little bit left out talking to yourself.
Yeah, I think the best thing about our club is it's a good amalgam of elderly Toastmasters, some, all age
Mixed
groups.
crowd.
We have a mixed crowd. And that is why we get different perspectives and point of view of every topic and everything that we discuss over
I
here.
think
And that's what makes it a very lively environment at all times.
Yeah.
A very senior club also, no?
Yes, it's more than 20 years now.
One of the oldest clubs in Bangalore.
Yeah, the fourth
I
oldest
think
club
it was
in
fourth.
India.
Fourth in India, that's right.
When was it?
Wow.
When was it started?
1990. Sandeep should be able to answer. Sandeep, when was Mekon started?
Everybody's counting back 20 years.
Yeah.
Because
our club was started in 1998, August 27th.
Oh, yes. So right person giving the answer, Prabhakara sir.
Yes.
Yeah, I was there from day one.
Yes. Udank wasn't born.
Yeah, that's there.
Myself.
Oh yeah, Ujjwal also. Youngest member of our club.
Business Club, we are completing 19 years of presenting of the charter tomorrow. I'm inviting all of you all to come for a fun-filled program over there in the evening at 6 o'clock. I'm from the Winners Club, which is South Kannada, coastal Karnataka. We are the oldest, 19 years old. So,
Extraordinary. 19 years is a long time.
Yes, and before that, for 5 years, we were unchartered.
Oh.
Nobody knew about Toastmasters those days. They thought it was a wine drinking club or something. Raising. So we were unchartered for the first 4 or 5 years. After that, tomorrow we are celebrating the 500th meeting.
How come it's only 500?
We meet only twice a month. It's alternate
Nice.
Saturday. It's not a weekly meeting.
Oh, okay. I can understand.
And this is official. After the charter, 500th.
I understand. It me exactly figure out. All right.
I hate to interrupt, but I think 5 minutes are up and we will have to resume. So, yeah.
Yes.
We will now jump into our next session, which is the general evaluation session. And our GE for today has had a glorious story in Toastmasters. She set foot the first time in Mekon with her aunt, who was a member of Mekon Communication Club back then. And she was awestruck by the talented speakers and the effortless way in which they articulated their thoughts and spoke. And on that day, she dreamt a dream to become an effortless speaker and to be able to speak as effectively as the ones she saw that day. 5 years later today, I can confidently say, and all the members of Mekon will agree with me, that she's one of the finest speakers of Mekon Communication Club. So full of enthusiasm, so effusive, and so much zeal. She's been the president of Mekon Communication Club. She's won the Triple Crown Award and also mentored several members to excel at their communication and leadership journey. She's an aspiring chartered accountant and a trained Bharatanatyam dancer. She's passionate about teaching and finds joy in writing poetry and telling stories. With an astounding round of applause, please help me welcome the energetic, the passionate, the generous, and the effusive Toastmaster Sridevi.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ankita, for that wonderful introduction. Good evening, Toastmasters and my dear guests. I'm so thrilled to be a part of this wonderful session today, and I'm sure all of you will agree that we had a very knowledgeable and entertaining session conducted by DTM Arjun, Sundaraj, and the two storytellers we had today. So let's first start off by giving them a thunderous round of applause. Everyone unmute and start clapping. Thank you for entertaining us and enlightening us in such a simple topic, but there's so many intricate details that we all have to know, and you threw a wonderful light upon that. And I will get to the evaluation bit of it in a while. And let me go in the order of how the meeting went on. So let me start off with the business session. Business session was very short and crisp and to the point, and it threw light upon what roles were booked for the next meeting, and also told us about the contest that is upcoming. And so great job done on that. Sergeant at Arms, acting Sergeant at Arms, Toastmaster Sanjana was fabulous. I don't see you. Are you there? Okay, Toastmaster Sanjana, I will go ahead by giving you a very quick evaluation. I really liked the way you had a story in place to describe a personal anecdote, and a very wonderful introduction that you had for the president. It was properly paced, energetically told, and you were very well prepared. Now, you appeared slightly nervous in the beginning, but you easily overcame it. And if I had to give you one suggestion, keep taking more roles and keep taking every speaking opportunity you get, so that you can break free from this slight nervousness that you have and be extremely comfortable, because you're actually a really fine speaker, and you could take your speeches to a very next level if you are able to control and maintain your stance from the starting till the end. Okay, so all the best, and you did a wonderful job. I think it's the debut role as the sergeant, if I'm not wrong. So let's give her a thunderous round of applause and encourage her. Yes. Now, coming to the president, Toastmaster Udank, week after week, you appear more and more confident and comfortable, and I'm so happy to see you as the president. And again, it was a very interactive opening that you had, wonderful message, short and crisp story, because yes, you understood that even the MC will talk about it, even the educational section will talk about it. You didn't go too elaborate on it. You just told us a story and the message that you learned. If I had to give you an area of improvement as a suggestion, I would like to say that you need to pace your thoughts and words more. Okay, you're thinking really fast and you're speaking also very fast, so you end up fumbling and mixing up words very often. For example, you had many instances like that where you said being a good being human instead of human being. You know what I'm saying? So if you pace your thoughts better, you will not make these small errors which might take away from that wonderful speech that you're giving. But that does not take away from that great speech you gave today and the way you held the audience together. So wonderful job, Toastmaster Udank. Looking forward to more speeches from you. Let's give him a huge round of applause. Now, coming to the Master of Ceremonies, I see every time we always leave the Master of Ceremonies for the last, and I wonder why we do that. So as a general evaluator today, I will not keep her for the last, and I will talk about her right now. So Toastmaster Ankita, you did a wonderful job. I would like to say that you're a Toastmaster who has complete conviction, sincerity, and dedication. And you come with such great energy, good command over English language, and the stage presence that you have just grabs and holds the audience attention from the start to the end. Now, I would like to say that you weaved the meeting so seamlessly and you were so well prepared. You messaged us 3-4 days in advance to ask us our introduction. And usually when people ask us introductions, they say exactly the way we send them the introduction. But you went ahead and added value to it, created a wonderful opening and introduction, by adding adjectives. Now, for example, I said I want to be a chartered accountant in future, and you said she had a dream of being a wonderful, not chartered accountant. I said I want to be a good speaker in future, and you said she had a dream, and today she's closer to her dream, or something like that. So you weaved it so beautifully and well dressed for the occasion. That shows your sincerity and makes us take you on your face value, and very strong voice and powerful voice that has held everybody together. And if I have to give you nitpick and give you a suggestion, I would say that sometimes as the master of ceremonies, we are in awe of all the speeches that happen, and we end up, along with compliments, we end up giving a mini evaluation. Like, we ended up, I think in one or two places, you ended up saying that was very impactful. The way you said this made me feel this. It ends up appearing like an evaluation. And today, because of paucity of time, some of the things could have been avoided, but I understand if I was in your place, I would have done the same thing, because of the 3 speakers we got from outside today who were flawless, and we were all mind blown, and we could easily get carried away and given extra. So I won't take any points away from you for doing that, but it's just a suggestion because we've seen a lot of people give these suggestions. So overall, a wonderful job done. Looking forward to more roles from you. So if you all agree with me, give thunderous rounds of applause for Ankita. Yes. Now, before I go for the evaluation of the education session, let's quickly get the reports of the role takers. Let's start with Grammarian Toastmaster Balaji.
A very good evening, Toastmasters. So we have had some really good usage of language. So for me, good is something really simple and but does add a lot of effect to the statement. One who will enrich the meeting, ones who will enrich the meeting, protagonist, any which way, makes the screen so bright, stand horror running away from it, off with the TV, dazzled lizard, dazed lizard, my bad, clammy, clad in black, ghastly, bring life into the particular character, hooted me away, maligned, as if it's real, should you be the wicked problem, participating in democracy, experiment gone wrong, awestruck, plethora of topics, vividly described, intricate details. Now, there are a few statements which could be told in a different way and a few words as well. Children, guys, because it's a formal platform, you all, that much better, so much better, also avid, also an avid, fishes, fish, people needs, people need, I got frozen, I froze, able to bought, able to bring, that's exactly happened, that's exactly what happened. Urban people, urban population, in the internet, on internet, one of the dream, one of my dreams, make that tomato soup, make tomato soup, works like that, and other works, a very next level to the next level. But all in all, a great day for the grammarian with the amazing use of language, and a special mention to great language that MC Ankita used. I really couldn't do justice making a note of all the lines. Every time you told something good, I went down and there's something nice that came up and I was like, okay, I give up. Right. So great language used by our MC Ankita, and one speaker who used the word of the day again and again was MC Ankita. So congrats on using the word effusive again and again. So she used the word effusive these many times: effusive, 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 and effusive. And I felt a little effusive with the usage of the word by the other speakers, but that's all right.
Thank you, Toastmaster Balaji. Let's give him a wonderful round of applause. That was a very detailed and elaborate role that you played, and I think it's a textbook way of doing it, and people should learn and understand how it's done from you. Thank you for taking up this role today and demonstrating how to do it properly. And one thing I really liked about your role today is you encourage the speaker who used the word of the day many times, because oftentimes people just never use the word, in fact. And I think the more we encourage them, more we appreciate them, the more we'll see the word of the day being used. So wonderful job, Toastmaster Balaji. Let's hear from the timer, Toastmaster Sai.
Good evening, everyone. Coming to the timers report for the today. The business session was for 2 minutes. Sergeant at Arms Toastmaster Sanjana took about 4 minutes and 30 seconds. President Toastmaster Udang took about 11 minutes. Master of Ceremonies Toastmaster Ankita had about 15 minutes. And educational session speaker DTM Arjun Sundar had 49 minutes. The table topic session was for 15 minutes, and we had 5 speakers, and 3 of the speakers have crossed the 2-minute mark. And the general evaluation session has so far taken about 10 minutes. That's all for the report. Thank you, and back to the general evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sai. Let's give him a huge round of applause. I would like to point out one thing about Sai and generally for the role takers. You know, always when we have guests who come and new members, they'll always wonder, why do we even have these roles? And sometimes even I think to myself, why do we have a timer in our counter? So it's very important for a role taker to describe why it is important. Okay, all the time we end up saying, okay, as the hour counter, I'll be keeping a tab of all the hours, arms, repeated words. But why are you doing that is something nobody knows. So always, if you have a short introduction for why you're keeping a tab of hours and arms. And today I observed Sai, he actually said, the one who learns to manage time can manage everything. And that is why today I will be keeping a tab of the time. And I really appreciate that, Sai. It is important to always elaborate and tell people why we're doing this role so that they take it more seriously. So let's give the role takers a round of applause. Oh, I forgot to take the R Counter's report. R Counter, Toastmaster Shashikant, can we have your report?
Thank you, Toastmaster Sridevi. As there was a wonderful session, there was not much usage of hours and down. However, and there was a short table topic session as well. So there was not so much hours and however, Sandeep has used R for 3 times, so for 4 times. That's it. Apart from that, everything was fine and it was a flawless. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Yes, thank you, Toastmaster Shashikant. We also have the Parliamentary Procedure Evaluator, Toastmaster Ujjwal.
Once again, a very happy evening to all the fellow Toastmasters and my dear guests. I thoroughly observed throughout the meeting, and to the best of my knowledge, no one talked about sex, religious, and politics. And whoever left the meeting, they put up in the chat box stating the emergency, and then only they left the meeting. So it did not distract the speaker, and everything went on flawlessly throughout the meeting. So that is it from my end. Thank you, and back to you, GE.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ujjwal. Let's give him a round of applause, everybody. Yes, now let me come to the education session for today. Toastmaster Arjun, DTM Arjun Sundaraj, is a well-known name in Toastmasters fraternity, and yet whenever you see him, he appears and is so humble, and you know, it's always amazing to listen to him, and he has that wonderful stage presence. Now, if I have to tell what really was the greatest part of today's session, see, I really appreciate the control over your tone. You know, you have so much to share, but you always say it in a very poised and controlled fashion, which makes me believe your conviction and sincerity in the message that you're delivering. It is really great, the command over the knowledge that you have. You know, even when we had audience throwing up questions, as soon as your session got over, you were very calm and composed. And after every question comes, it didn't even take you a second to collect your thoughts. You immediately started answering everybody's questions, which made me feel like this is something very close to your heart. This topic is something very close to your heart and something that you know very well. And the way you are able to convince the audience about not only the session that you conducted, but with the answers that you gave, I'm sure everyone was satisfied and happy with what they got. And thirdly, the comfort with the audience. Sometimes when you give a speech or a session outside of your club or outside, you might experience some kind of hostility. And like in the break, Toastmaster Mini was saying that a lot of times we have people who keep their videos off, and you can only see the names and you don't really know if they're listening, are they really engaging with you. And sometimes it happens in our club as well, but today everyone had their screens open because you engaged everybody. Everybody's attention was captured by you, and I didn't even realize when it was 7:30 and you said you took extra 5 minutes. I didn't even realize that it went so smoothly, and it's the most ideal way of conducting an education session, because the whole premise that you had, and the way you brought it out, data tells but stories tell. And you had, like Ankita said, it wasn't like a lecture that you gave. You had a demonstration by two beautiful and wonderful speakers, DTM Mini and Toastmaster Veera. And I really appreciate how you used their storytelling technique and gave us that message that you had. If I have to speak about Toastmaster Mini, I would like to say that, you always have a friend who's the life of a party. They always have the best stories to share, or any small incident also, they will explain it and describe it in the best way possible. And I think Toastmaster Mini is one such person like that. The drama, the suspense, the thriller, it was no short of a Netflix thriller being described to me. And I really liked that one message she had: you are what you are because of the way that you are. And I think it was really the one of the best people to get in a storytelling session. And it was lovely to hear DTM Mini today. Let's give her a huge round of applause, everybody. Coming to the tall tales description by Toastmaster Veera, I love Donald Trump. When I heard this, I was wondering, how is it going to be? What is going to happen? I forgot about tall tales concept altogether. I wasn't a part of Toastmasters for a very short. I was a member, but I wasn't involved for a long time. And I totally forgot about tall tales. So today it was such a refresher. And DTM Veera is very confident, charismatic, and creative with her story telling style. And she made everyone laugh and had the audience hooked throughout. And in her speech, it invoked so many questions in audience mind that helped the moderator today to get an interactive session. So I really appreciate her style of speaking, and a wonderful job done, DTM Veera. Let's give her a huge round of applause, everybody. Toastmaster Arjun, I really enjoyed your education session, just like everybody else. And thank you for taking this session in our club. And it was lovely to have you here. And let's give all the three of them another round of applause. Coming to the table topic master, Toastmaster Lalana, you had a great amalgam of topics. There was current affairs, there was personal anecdotes, there was wonderful topics that you had, and you understood. I appreciate your presence of mind. When you saw that there was paucity of time, you immediately wrapped things up, and even though you had many more topics prepared. So I appreciate your presence of mind. And nothing to suggest, you are a seasoned Toastmaster now, and you have handled everything so well. And I'm sure everybody had a very entertaining session. So let's give Toastmaster Lalana a huge round of applause. Now, I will not take any more of your time, but I have a few pointers, general points that I have to give. So I'll just quickly wind it up. The agenda that we send in a meeting is so that the people could plan their day ahead. So I suggest that it could be sent at least a day or two earlier, and not just 1 or 2 hours before the meeting. It's just one suggestion to the president and the VP education. Today was an educational session, so the posters have been going around for several days. But otherwise, also these days we're having the agenda coming out a little late so that people can plan better. I would recommend you all to send it a little earlier. And also I've seen a lot of people use very short forms like PPE, EC, and the guests are clueless as to what is being spoken about. So I think anytime you want to describe the role, you should say Parliamentary Procedure Evaluator. Why is that role there? Or EC is as an executive committee. So there is a particular committee that is there, and that those people are expected to stay back. So something like that, try avoiding using the short forms. And another thing is that I want to say that it's very important for us to usher the Toastmasters to take up role. It's all take up roles. It's always the same people who are taking up MC, timer, counter, etc. So I'm aware that this term is going to have Toastmaster of the month. So if you could elaborate and tell people that there are perquisites for taking up the roles. If you're a grammarian, you get certain points. If you're the MC, you get certain points. The more roles you take, the more points you get, and the more chances you have of winning. So try different techniques like this and usher the new members and also the existing members to take up more roles and get those awards. I don't want the same people to always be grabbing the awards. It has to be a competitive environment, and everyone has to challenge each other and motivate each other and win. So I think that is one suggestion that I would like to give to the executive committee, but that's all that I have. It was a wonderful meeting. I'm so glad I got to be a part of it. And over to the Master of Ceremonies.
Thank you, Sridevi, for the holistic evaluation and also the kind of encouraging words that you had for every role taker present here. I'm sure we've had a fruitful and enlightening session today, and that has been affirmed even by a general evaluator. I would sincerely like to thank every role taker in the meeting and also each person in the audience to have made this meeting a grand success. I would like to conclude by saying that our lives are stories consisting of various chapters, some short, some long, but each one of those chapters is important. They all add up to make you who you are. So be mindful, tell your tales to people, listen to others tell their tales, and most essentially, make sure that you make your story worthwhile. I would now like to hand back the charge to our President, Toastmaster Udanka.
Thank you, Ankita, for that flawless meeting, and you really stuck me with the last concluding statement. And I would also thank the general evaluator, Toastmaster Sridevi. I don't know whether it's a coincidence or not, but one of my mentees started the meeting, and my mentor ended the meeting today. So with that note, so coming to the winner of the table topic session, we had a couple of less number of members addressing it, but the winner of today's table topic session is the man who is winning week after week, term after term, DTM AK Prabhakara. So with that, I conclude and end meeting number 1094. I request everyone to stay back for a group photo and turn your videos quickly on so that our Vice President Public Relations takes a snap.
Karthik, please. Karthik, are you there? I would request everybody to give a big smile. Once again, sorry. Karthik, smile please. Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you, guys. AKP sir, you're trying to say something, but you're on mute.
I just wanted to thank Arjun and both the speakers today, the Mini and Veera. You made the day. It was a differently presented, and I liked it, the way you handled the things and the Q&A. And as G put it across, saying that your composure was in place. And